Boom. The intense spiritual energy, as violent as a volcanic eruption, suddenly ravaged the trading area. The space trembled, and many of the nearby powerful onlookers visibly changed their expressions, quickly retreating. Even some of the super-strong individuals at the perfect great perfection level, upon looking at Moxin, couldn't hide their wariness in their eyes. Indeed, the young master of the Futu ancient clan was truly as formidable as his reputation suggested. Among all the wary gazes, Moxin's eyes, sharp as an eagle's, locked onto Moxin. In the next moment, he suddenly stepped forward, his body shooting toward Moxin like a ghost. That speed was so overwhelming that even some of the perfect great perfection powerhouses present could only vaguely see his afterimages. Such speed. Many strong individuals felt a sense of shock. Against such speed, they probably wouldn't even have time to defend, let alone counter. Moxin's lethal attack would reach them in an instant. You're not qualified to speak to Moxin like that. However, it was Lingxi, not Moxin, who was the first to show signs of anger. If anyone were to argue about status, Moxin's position in the Futu ancient clan was not lower than Moxin's. And the arrogance in Moxin's tone was clearly meant to look down on Moxin. Thus, Lingxi's face turned cold. She waved her jade hand, and countless starlight merged into the void. Instantly, a spiritual array took shape and enveloped Moxin. Roar. Within the spiritual array, powerful spiritual energy quickly gathered, forming a dragon lion as solid as reality. The dragon lion roared, exuding an aura of fierce aggression. The spiritual energy dragon lion, as real as it appeared, charged toward Moxin with a lightning-fast strike, its fury unmatched. Spiritual array? Child's play. The oncoming dragon lion only made Moxin sneer. Without pausing his movements, he threw a punch, and the violent spiritual energy around his fist formed dazzling, dangerous rings of light. Boom. Moxin's fist struck the dragon lion's head with immense force. The space trembled, cracking apart, and the powerful dragon lion shattered in an instant, scattering into countless light fragments. The spiritual array hastily set up by Lingxi clearly wasn't enough to pose any threat to Moxin. Since you're trying to step forward, I'll deal with you first. After shattering the dragon lion with a punch, Moxin took a strange step, his figure piercing through space, appearing right in front of Lingxi. With another punch, containing terrifying spiritual energy, he sent it crashing toward Lingxi's chest, intent on crushing her with a lethal strike. Moxin's speed was so overwhelming that, compared to Wu Tong, who had fought Lingxi earlier, it was clear that Moxin was on an entirely different level. Faced with the razor-sharp spiritual energy fist coming toward her, Lingxi furrowed her brows. With a flick of her hand, countless spiritual seals formed rapidly. She did not adopt a defensive stance, for once her deadly spiritual array was deployed, even Moxin would have to pay a price. Of course, she too would suffer a heavy blow from Moxin's fist. It was clearly a tactic where both would be hurt. However, just as Moxin's attack was about to strike Lingxi, a hand suddenly grabbed her white wrist from behind, giving her a gentle shake and sending her retreating backward. At the same time, Moxin's figure shot out from behind like a predator, his eyes flashing with killing intent as he charged directly at Moxin. So you finally stopped hiding behind a woman? Seeing Moxin charge out, Moxin's mocking smile grew even more pronounced, but his attack didn't slacken in the slightest. In fact, the spiritual energy fluctuations under his fist grew even more violent. Clearly, he intended to crush Moxin with a single punch. Moxin's expression remained unchanged. Within his pupils, the crystal floating pagoda emerged, and the spiritual energy inside him was fully converted and amplified. The crystal-like spiritual energy surged within his body like a flood. Faced with Moxin's overwhelmingly powerful punch, Moxin also threw a punch. The crystal-like spiritual energy gathered on his fist, transforming his entire arm into a crystal arm. A wave of destructive power rippled through the space. Moreover, the crystal light emanating from it carried a strange fluctuation, causing the surrounding spiritual energy to avoid touching it. Indeed, it's the sacred floating pagoda. Seeing this, Moxin's eyes narrowed. Within the Futu ancient clan, only the sacred floating pagoda could possess such pure and powerful sealing light. Anyone who touched it would have their spiritual energy quickly sealed. But that won't work on me. Moxin let out a cold grunt, his pupils stretched out, and suddenly, a black light surged. Within the black light, a pagoda appeared. However, this pagoda was dark in color. It was the dark floating pagoda, also rare among the Futu ancient clan. Only those with the purest bloodline from the Mo family could cultivate it. This dark floating pagoda also held sealing powers. Although it didn't possess the pure radiance of the sacred floating pagoda, it was far more sinister and ruthless. The dark light surged, and Moxin's arm transformed into a deep black. A faint wisp of black smoke swirled around him, the smoke carrying a terrifying corrosive property. As it rose, it corroded the space, leaving black streaks in its wake. Boom! With a burst of both light and darkness, a vicious collision occurred. The intense black light and crystal light erupted, eroding each other wildly. The ground beneath them caved in sharply, and enormous cracks spread like a spider web from under their feet. A violent shockwave of spiritual energy swept across the area, sending both Chen and Moxin stumbling. Chen was thrown back dozens of steps. The massive rocks behind him shattered into countless pieces of stone dust before they could even reach him. An Upper Earth Supreme dares to face me head-on? Moxin sneered as he regained his footing after retreating only a few steps. Just as his voice fell, Moxin felt a fluctuation in the space to his right. A figure appeared like a shadow, and another brutal punch of crystal light came crashing at him. The sudden attack caught Moxin off guard, as Chen, who had been clearly driven back earlier, had somehow reappeared and was now launching an assault. In his mind, Moxin's thoughts raced, but his reflexes were quick. Even though the situation was sudden, he instinctively struck out with his palm, meeting the incoming crystal punch head-on. Bang! The impact this time was to Moxin's disadvantage. His palm shook, and his figure was sent flying backward, looking slightly disheveled. As he retreated, Moxin's face darkened, his eyes filled with shock. In the previous instant, he had realized that the person attacking him was still Chen. How could there be two Chens? Moxin thought, stunned. No, there's another one. At that moment, Moxin sensed another fluctuation of spiritual energy behind him, his pupils narrowing. But this time, he couldn't react in time. He felt a violent burst of spiritual power crashing into his back with immense force. Boom! The terrifying power erupted, and Moxin's body was sent flying like a cannonball, crashing into a pile of ruins. A long path was carved through the rubble, and he was eventually buried under it. Silence. The entire trading area fell eerily quiet, with powerful figures staring in shock at the scene. None of them had expected the battle between the two to end in this way. In the first exchange, it was clear that Chen had been at a disadvantage, but no one had predicted that two identical Chens, with the same strength, would appear next and work together to send Moxin into such a sorry state. What kind of spiritual avatar is this? It's as powerful as the real body. They stared, astonished, at the three figures standing in the arena, each radiating identical, powerful spiritual energy. In the distance, Qing Shuang, Qing Ling, and the others, who had been nervously watching the battle, were now also struck silent. Qing Ling couldn't help but rub her eyes, her face filled with disbelief. The result was far beyond her imagination. How could this happen? What's going on with that spiritual avatar? Qing Ling stammered, her eyes wide with astonishment. Qing Shuang, with her icy cold face, was also shocked for a moment, but she soon regained her composure. She cast a deep look at Chen in the arena, and with a hint of self-mockery, she murmured, "It seems we misjudged. This Upper Earth Supreme isn't so simple." With two spiritual avatars of identical strength to his real body, even though Chen was just an Upper Earth Supreme, his combat ability was undoubtedly on par with any peak great perfection fighter. No wonder that from beginning to end, even though Xian Luo and Moxin showed hostility, Chen still maintained his calm demeanor. It turns out, he truly has the strength to counter them. On the other hand, it's quite laughable that she still wanted to offer protection. Looking at it now, it seems almost like she brought humiliation upon herself. Qing Ling pouted, wanting to say something, but when she saw the three figures in the field, she closed her mouth. Anyone who could make Moxin suffer like this was enough to make her hold back all her previous arrogance. Meanwhile, in another direction, Xian Luo watched the scene with the most composed expression. He had already known Chen's background, so he wasn't surprised by Moxin's failure. However, when his gaze fell on the two avatars, an uncontrollable greed and fiery desire flickered in his eyes. So it really is one chi transforms three purities. This Sin child is truly blessed. But when you fall into my hands, such a peerless divine ability will be mine. The once noisy trading area had now quieted down a bit due to the unexpected turn of events. A series of astonished gazes swept back and forth over Chen. Some of the teams and powerhouses who had previously looked down on Moxin now wore solemn expressions. There was now a note of caution in their eyes when they looked at him. Indeed, anyone who could come to this ancient sacred abyss would definitely have some ability. Bang! As those gazes flickered, the ruins that had buried Moxin earlier suddenly exploded, with giant rocks flying everywhere. A shadowy figure with a dark expression slowly emerged from the debris. Moxin, at this moment, was radiating an intense, almost suffocating murderous aura, and his eyes were filled with an unmistakable killing intent as he stared at Moxin. Clearly, Moxin hadn't expected that he would be left in such a miserable state after clashing with Moxin. All this time, Moxin had been nothing more than a sin child in his eyes. Although his mother held a high position in the Futu ancient clan, they had been separated when he was young, and Moxin had never enjoyed any cultivation resources from the clan. So, Moxin had always looked down on Moxin. But now, he was paying the price for his underestimation. This sin child, who he thought would be easy to deal with, had made him suffer. I never thought Moxin, would have a day like this. You really surprised me. Moxin wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth, staring coldly at Moxin as he spoke slowly. It was clear that after suffering this defeat, Moxin had finally started to take this sin child of the Futu ancient clan seriously. Moxin squinted his eyes slightly. Moxin's position as the young master of the Futu ancient clan did show some ability. After all, despite suffering such a great loss earlier, he was able to suppress his raging anger and start truly respecting his opponent. Such a person is indeed troublesome. Moxin also knew that Moxin's previous humiliation was entirely due to being caught off guard by his one chi transforms 3 purities. But now that Moxin was prepared, it wouldn't be so easy to achieve such a result again. However, Moxin had no real regrets. While Moxin was troublesome, if it came to a full-scale fight, Moxin wasn't afraid of him in the slightest. Your surprise is probably just beginning, Moxin said with a faint smile. Despite Moxin's overwhelming killing intent, Moxin showed no sign of retreat. The standoff between them was enough to make many people uneasy. It seemed Moxin had truly locked horns with Moxin. Oh, well, I really want to see that. Sensing Moxin's challenge, Moxin let out a cold laugh. In the next moment, several flashes of light appeared behind him, with 3 figures stepping forward, each one a perfect Earth Supreme. These people were obviously powerful members of the Futu ancient clan and belonged to Moxin's faction. Sin child Moxin, you're really bold to disrespect young master Moxin. Surrender now. The Futu ancient clan experts glared at Moxin, scolding him. Where did these flies come from? Do they think they have the right to talk in front of my young master? Before they could finish, Moxin's dragon line stepped forward, glaring fiercely and coldly retorting. TCH, young master? A sin child like you even has the right to be a young master? Longxiang, looks like you've really fallen behind in recent years. The great perfection experts behind Moxin, who clearly recognized Longxiang, immediately mocked him. Whether I've fallen behind or not, we'll know after a fight, won't we? Longxiang sneered, his 5 fingers tightening into a fist. Instantly, powerful spiritual energy, as wild as a storm, erupted from his body. Great perfection? You actually broke through to great perfection? Sensing the fierce spiritual energy bursting out of Longxiang's body, the several great perfection experts' expressions tightened. From what they knew, Longxiang had been cut off from cultivation resources by his clan many years ago and had been completely marginalized. He had been stuck at the half-step great perfection for years, never able to break through. But now, after following that sin child for such a short time, he had actually achieved a breakthrough? At this moment, Lingxi also walked up, her delicate face cold, her jade-like hands moving. Numerous spiritual seals shimmered like stars and quickly merged into the surrounding space, clearly ready to form a spiritual array the moment the battle began. Luo Li stood next to Moxin, her strength being only that of a lower Earth Supreme. However, within her glass-like beautiful eyes, spiritual light surged, and an almost imperceptible dangerous aura emanated from her. Both teams stood off against each other, the tension palpable. It was clear that any slight provocation could ignite an extremely intense battle. The other surrounding teams quietly retreated, clearly not wanting to get caught in the crossfire. Moxin. Just as the atmosphere became increasingly tense, a crisp voice suddenly rang out. Everyone turned to see another team coming between the 2 opposing sides and ultimately standing with Moxin's group, staring sharply at Moxin and the others. It was, of course, When Qin Xian and her team, who had been gathering information earlier. When family's team? Moxin's brow furrowed slightly as he saw when Qin Xian and the others. Clearly, he hadn't expected Moxin to have ties with the Wen family. However, of the group, only when Ziyu had reached the level of great perfection in Earth Supreme, so Moxin didn't feel particularly threatened. Still, the sudden interruption caused him to gradually calm down. It was clear this wasn't the right time for a bloody confrontation with Moxin's team. After their earlier skirmish, Moxin knew that Moxin, who seemed like just a higher Earth Supreme, was actually far stronger than most great perfection experts. Moreover, Moxin seriously suspected that Moxin had even stronger hidden cards. If his suspicion was correct, then even if Moxin could defeat Moxin's team, the cost would likely be heavy. And here, surrounded by wolves, with Xian Luo lurking in the distance, Moxin had no doubt that if Xian Luo found an opening, he would take action and wipe them all out. At that point, all the effort Moxin put into fighting would simply benefit Xian Luo. This was clearly not something Moxin wanted to happen. Heaving a deep breath, Moxin suppressed the killing intent in his heart. Slowly, the murderous aura around him began to subside, and his eyes grew cold as he stared at Moxin. I'll make sure to capture you and bring you back to the clan, where the first elder will deal with you. Moxin sneered. I'll be waiting. Moxin shot Moxin a deep, silent glare, then turned with a flick of his sleeve and left without another word. The few experts from the floating Pagoda ancient clan exchanged looks, clearly surprised that the once dominant Moxin had been humiliated in front of a Sin child, and had even been forced to suppress his anger and retreat. Truly worthy of being Qing Yinjing's son. Fortunately, he's still a Sin child, or else there would have been another strong competitor for the position of young master besides Xian Luo. They exchanged glances and thought to themselves, then hurriedly followed Xian Luo and quickly withdrew. What was about to be an explosive battle had ended rather anticlimactically. Many surrounding teams couldn't help but feel disappointed. After all, when two tigers fight, one is bound to be injured, and they might have been able to pick up some benefits in the aftermath. In the distance, Qing Shuang, Qing Ling, and the others saw this and also decided to leave. They had no intention of greeting Moxin, as his indifferent attitude clearly showed he had some reservations about them. However, as they turned to leave, they felt Moxin's gaze from afar. He was staring at Qing Shuang and gave a slight nod, a silent acknowledgement. Clearly, he had noticed their earlier attempt to help. Although Moxin kept his distance from the floating Pagoda ancient clan, he didn't feel the need to constantly reject the goodwill that Qing Shuang and the others had shown. Qing Shuang also lightly nodded towards Moxin, then led Qing Ling and the others away. Let's go. Seems like there's no good show left, she said. In the distance, Xian Luo also smiled faintly. He turned to the side and spoke to Xun'er, Miss Xun'er. I have some intelligence that you might be very interested in. Xun'er's jet black, lively eyes sparkled as she chuckled. Could it be about the 4 Saint-grade Heavenly Supremes? Xian Luo smiled without answering, turning around and leaving. Xun'er lifted the corners of her red lips and followed closely behind. Moxin watched as various figures departed. He clenched the mysterious copper piece in his sleeve, pondering quietly. Based on the situation earlier, where Moxin suddenly intervened, it seemed that the copper piece might have triggered some kind of reaction, though not as strong as the one Moxin experienced firsthand. Otherwise, Moxin would never have given up so easily. From this, it seemed this item must be related to the Futu ancient clan. It might even have something to do with information about the floating Pagoda ancestor. It looks like I need to find some time to study this, Moxin murmured to himself. Moxin, you really can't seem to settle down, can you? When Qin Xian teased, seeing that only a short time had passed since their separation, yet Moxin had already stirred up trouble again. Moxin smiled and asked, so, what's the news? Any results? He was referring to the information about the 4 Saint-grade Heavenly Supremes relics. However, his question was casual, as he clearly didn't expect when Qin Xian to have any substantial information so soon. To his surprise, when Qin Xian lightly tilted her sharp, white chin and nodded seriously. Really? Moxin was taken aback. The information efficiency was astonishing. When Qin Xian nodded with a serious expression on her pretty face. According to the news, tomorrow, there will be a so-called gathering of heroes in the city, and at that time, there will be exact information about the 4 Saint-grade Heavenly Supremes made public. Made public? Moxin furrowed his brows. Such valuable information, and someone is willing to make it public? Of course, it's not free, when Qin Xian smiled playfully, then stretched out 5 slender fingers towards Mu Chen. Ticket price: 50 million Supreme Spiritual Liquid. When Qing Xuan's mention of 50 million Supreme Spiritual Liquid was something Mu Chen and the others didn't pay. The next day, when they arrived at the location of the so-called gathering of heroes, the guards at the square, after confirming their identities, directly allowed them entry. Inside a somewhat dilapidated great hall, Mu Chen and the others saw many teams gathering in distinct groups. Each of these teams was formidable, with at least one powerful great perfection-level expert in charge. Among them, as expected, Mu Chen saw Moxin, whom he had fought the day before, as well as Xian Luo, Qing Shuang, and others. It seems the 50 million Supreme Spiritual Liquid ticket was just a way to reject teams that wanted to fish in troubled waters, Mu Chen realized. But what does the organizer really want to do? Is he gathering these teams to share information? Mu Chen furrowed his brows again, because under normal circumstances, if the organizer truly knew the information, why not bring their own team to snatch the treasure? Why reveal the information and attract more competitors? Mu Chen exchanged a glance with Luo Li and Wen Qin Xian, both of whom shared the same sense of confusion in their eyes. However, despite the uncertainty, they found a quiet spot in the hall and waited patiently. After all, their questions would be answered once the organizer appeared. As they waited, one after another, more powerful teams entered the hall. Then, suddenly, some noise came from the hall. Mu Chen and the others turned their attention to see a figure slowly walking in, surrounded by a group of people. When this person appeared, all eyes in the hall immediately focused on him. Mu Chen looked up and saw a tall, broad-shouldered man with a hearty smile on his face. However, the occasional gleam in his eyes revealed his extraordinary nature. Moreover, Mu Chen could sense the powerful spiritual energy fluctuations emanating from the man. Though subtle, the energy was clearly far beyond what an ordinary great perfection expert could compare to. This man was not simple. Haha, it seems everyone is here. I am Qin Bubi, from the Four Saints sect, the man said, looking around at the crowd in the hall, cupping his fists and laughing aloud. Three Saints sect. Mu Chen's eyes flickered, and a hint of surprise crossed his face. Clearly, he had heard of the Three Saints sect, which was known to be a superpower in the Great Thousand Worlds. Even among such superpowers, it was considered one of the top-tier forces. The Three Saints sect was home to 3 heavenly supreme experts, and not just any heavenly supremes, but 3 true immortal grade heavenly supremes. However, judging by the appearance of the surrounding teams, it was clear they were quite familiar with Qin Bubi. From their expressions, it was evident that they held him in high regard. When Qin Xian, speaking softly from the side, said, Qin Bubi is the chief disciple of the Three Saints sect, with unparalleled talent. He has reached the peak great perfection level and is extremely powerful. His name is well known even in the Great Thousand Worlds. Mu Chen nodded slightly. From his perception, Qin Bubi's strength was likely not inferior to figures like Xian Luo or Moxin, which explained why he remained so composed even in such a tense situation. The ancient sacred abyss truly hid many dragons and tigers. Brother Qin, there is no need for unnecessary words. You should know why we are gathered here. If you truly have information about the 4 ancestors' relics, please share it with us. Xian Luo said with a slight smile. As soon as Xian Luo spoke, many teams immediately echoed his words. Qin Bubi smiled and nodded, then said, Everyone, I do indeed know about the 4 ancestors' relics, and I also know their exact location. Upon his words, the great hall fell silent. Many eyes burned with anticipation, while others were filled with doubt. Clearly, they were wondering why Qin Bubi would reveal such crucial information if it were true. Everyone might be wondering why, if I know the location of the 4 ancestors' relics, I don't just take people and claim the treasure directly, instead of making it public, Qin Bubi said with a smile, noticing the suspicious gazes. It's simple, because the forces of our Three Saints sect are not enough. Which of the 4 ancestors' relics do you know the location of? Someone asked. The 4 ancestors referred to 4 immortal grade heavenly supremes who perished in the ancient sacred abyss, with the floating Pagoda ancestor and supreme spirit ancestor being 2 of them. Qin Bubi smiled lightly. I'm not talking about the relics of one specific ancestor, but the relics of all 4 ancestors. Because this time, their relics have appeared together. The hall was immediately filled with an uproar. Many powerful experts displayed expressions of disbelief. After all, the relics of the 4 ancestors were the hardest to find. They seemed to move and possess some kind of intelligence, making them nearly impossible to track down. But now, Qin Bubi claimed that the four ancestors' relics had appeared together. How could they not find this hard to believe? There's nothing unbelievable about it. The relics of the four ancestors still carry remnants of their will. If for some reason they have gathered together once again, it's not impossible, Qin Bubi said. What reason? Mu Chen's eyes glinted as he asked. Qin Bubi looked at Mu Chen but did not show any disdain for his apparent status as an Upper Earth Supreme. He likely knew of Mu Chen's battle with Moxin the previous day. In the ancient sacred abyss, what could possibly cause the four ancestors' residual wills to gather together and act as one? Qin Bubi asked with a meaningful glance. Mu Chen pondered for a moment, then slowly said, "The four fallen heavenly demon emperors." "You're right, Brother Mu." Qin Bubi's expression turned serious. Because the relics of the four heavenly demon emperors have now merged with the four ancestors' relics. Upon hearing this, not only the ordinary teams but even Xian Luo and Moxin's faces changed slightly. So that's it. Though the four ancestors and the four heavenly demon emperors have perished, their lingering wills still regard each other as great enemies. Now that they have come into contact, naturally, they will summon their forces to completely eradicate each other's remaining wills, Mu Chen muttered with a hint of understanding in his eyes. But what were the chances of that happening? And yet, they happened to be in the right place at the right time. It was hard to say whether it was good luck or bad luck. When I entered the ancient sacred abyss, I encountered a time and space wind and was randomly transported out. The location I arrived at was the four ancestors' relics. I attempted to enter, but was blocked by a will. That should have been the lingering will of one of the four ancestors. It told me that to enter the relics, I needed to find more powerful individuals. Qin Bubi smiled as he looked at the others. So, that's my purpose. Why would the four ancestors will summon so many people? Moxin asked in a rather gloomy tone. Mu Chen's gaze lifted, glancing at Moxin, and he replied indifferently, because the wills of the four heavenly demon emperors have also likely summoned many powerful members of the extraterritorial evil clan. I believe their purpose is the same. They want to completely erase the remaining wills of the four ancestors. Upon hearing these words, many of the powerful individuals present couldn't help but flinch, their eyes narrowing. If that's the case, does it mean that in order to obtain the four ancestors' legacy, they will have to directly confront the powerful beings from the extraterritorial evil clans? Mu Chen, however, remained remarkably calm. After all, he had previously encountered Shi Tianyu from the clan of corpse demons, and it was clear that Shi Tianyu was just one of the intruders among the extraterritorial evil clans in the ancient sacred abyss. This matter is becoming quite significant, Mu Chen muttered softly. In the past, when the ancient sacred abyss opened, although there were occasional clashes between powerful figures from the Great Thousand Worlds and the extraterritorial evil clans, they usually kept to their own agendas, only engaging in battle if they crossed paths. But this time, to secure the greatest treasures, a deadly battle would be inevitable. Beside him, Luo Li, Ling Shi, and Wen Qingxian all nodded, their expressions serious. What had started as a simple treasure hunt had now escalated into a confrontation between the younger generations of the Great Thousand Worlds and the extraterritorial evil clans. The extraterritorial evil clans' powerful warriors were undoubtedly mysterious and formidable, and to challenge them would be fraught with danger. But Mu Chen did not have the slightest intention of backing down. As long as he could obtain the Eightfold Pagoda, one of the 36 peerless divine abilities, even the greatest risks were worth taking. In the Grand Hall, other teams, particularly those with confident warriors, exchanged glances, their eyes gleaming with determination. The legacy of the Saint-Grade Heavenly Supreme was at stake. Such a legacy, if it weren't for being located in the ancient sacred abyss, would be out of their reach. If they could somehow obtain it, they might even rise to the Heavenly Supreme realm, becoming peak figures in the Great Thousand Worlds. The Heavenly Supreme was a realm coveted by countless powerful beings in the Great Thousand Worlds. Qin Bubi looked around the quiet hall. Then, after a moment, he smiled faintly and said, "If anyone here has no interest in the four ancestors' legacy, they may leave now." No one spoke, and no one left. Those who had arrived at the sacred abyss were mostly confident in their abilities. Though the extraterritorial evil clans were enigmatic, the outcome would only be known after fighting them. Moreover, facing such a formidable enemy as the extraterritorial evil clans, it seemed that no one had any reason to retreat. Qin Bubi waited silently for a while. When no one left, a smile appeared on his face, and his voice rang through the hall. "Since no one is withdrawn, then please prepare yourselves today. Tomorrow, we will head to the Four Ancestors' ruins. As Chen Bubi's voice echoed, many of the powerful figures in the hall began to burn with excitement. The next day, the city at the gathering point suddenly became quite bustling, as many teams witnessed the departure of numerous powerful groups. They gathered outside the city, then soared into the sky in a massive procession, heading off toward a distant location. Such a large-scale movement certainly stirred up many teams within the gathering point. Due to their own strength, some had not earned the right to join the gathering of heroes, and thus were unaware of the information about the Four Ancestors' ruins. Therefore, they were even more puzzled by the cause of this commotion. However, some sharp-eyed teams quickly set off, trailing far behind the main force. The main group, however, paid no attention to these followers. As Chen Bubi had said, the location of the Four Ancestors' ruins would surely attract many powerful figures from the extraterritorial evil clans. If a battle broke out, those blinded by greed would only bring trouble upon themselves. Moxin, Wen Xian, and the others kept a safe distance from the main force as they moved forward, just like most of the other teams. Although they were technically in the same camp for now, everyone knew that the Four Ancestors' legacy was limited, and with so many people, it would be a fierce competition. When the time came, the others would be rivals. For rivals, maintaining necessary caution was crucial. This momentum is truly impressive, Moxin remarked as he observed the massive procession. Judging by the scale, he estimated that the main force contained at least dozens of elite teams, the strongest in the ancient sacred abyss. It means the Four Ancestors' ruins are extremely dangerous, Luoli said softly, her delicate face showing a hint of seriousness. Moxin nodded. This journey was fraught with dangers far beyond anything they had encountered in the Spirit Butterfly ruins. To obtain the Eightfold Pagoda, he would have to face not only other competitors but also the sinister extraterritorial evil clan. The situation in the Four Ancestors' ruins is unclear. If we get separated, don't act recklessly, Moxin said to Luoli, his tone serious. Luoli also had her own mission, to obtain the Taiyuing Annihilation Light of the Supreme Spirit Ancient Clan. However, her strength was only that of a lower Earth Supreme, which was hardly competitive in the sacred abyss where great perfection was rampant. If he were by Luoli's side, he could support her fully. But what worried him was the uncertain situation in the Four Ancestors' ruins. If they were separated, he feared for Luoli's safety. Sensing Moxin's concern, Luoli smiled faintly, her exquisite beauty seemingly the most vibrant color in the world. She nodded gently. Don't worry, I won't act recklessly. And don't think that just because I'm a lower Earth Supreme, I'm weak. I have my own methods, Luoli added, playfully winking at Moxin. Moxin was taken aback, then nodded in agreement. Since Luoli had said so, she must have made preparations in advance. If I'm not mistaken, the woman beside Xian Luo should also be a candidate saintess from the Supreme Spirit Ancient Clan. Her goal is probably the Taiyuing Annihilation Light as well, Luoli remarked, her gaze briefly sweeping the surroundings. Oh. Moxin's eyes narrowed. He had noticed the slightly delicate woman beside Xian Luo. Her beauty was certainly exceptional. How do you know that? He asked. Luoli smiled charmingly. Women's intuition. She's been watching me far too much, and in such a subtle way. Moxin was speechless, then helplessly shook his head. Luoli's intuition was indeed frighteningly sharp, as though she could sense even the faintest of gazes. That woman is quite sharp, Moxin murmured. Though he had never interacted with her, it was clear she was a master at navigating the social scene. Strong warriors from the great perfection level were always by her side. This was in stark contrast to Luoli. In the gathering city, many superpowered individuals tried to approach her because of her beauty, but she had always responded coldly, showing no interest in using her charm to draw them closer. Luoli nodded with a smile. The woman indeed had some clever tactics. Don't worry, I'll be careful with her. Moxin nodded as well. While the candidate's saintess might be cunning, he wouldn't underestimate Luoli. She had managed to pull the Luogod clan from the brink of collapse and back onto a prosperous track. That alone proved her wisdom matched her beauty. As long as Luoli stayed alert, the woman wouldn't pose an easy threat. Just as their conversation ended, they noticed the main army's pace quickening. Clearly, Chen Bubi, who was leading ahead, had sped up. They said no more, instead urging the others to follow closely. The army traveled relentlessly for a full day and night. When night fell, they made camp in the mountains to rest. At the break of dawn, they continued their journey. By the second day's dusk, they finally noticed the pace of the army slowing down. Everyone, we are almost at our destination, Qin Bubi's booming voice, like thunder, came from ahead. A stir rippled through the army, and countless gazes were directed toward the distant horizon. Before them, a vast, unfathomable chasm stretched across the earth. The abyss was so immense it defied description. From afar, it appeared to be an endless black pit, like a black hole in the ground, sending chills down their spines. On one side of the abyss, a bright light, like a blazing sun, hovered in the sky, radiating endless brilliance. On the other side, darkness loomed, with demonic energy rising, resembling a demonic domain. Light and darkness continuously encroached upon one another, and the very space itself seemed to fracture under the pressure. Occasionally, terrifying spatial storms raged through the area. This is the abyss of fallen gods. As Mu Chen and the others stared in awe at the vast chasm, when Qingshuan's solemn voice came from the side. Abyss of fallen gods? Mu Chen blinked, surprised. It is said that in ancient times, the four ancestors had a final battle here against the four heavenly demon emperors of the extraterritorial evil clan, and this abyss, stretching over millions of miles, was likely the result of that war. When Qin Xian said, "This is the place where they perished," no wonder, after countless years, their residual wills still gather here. It seems that their obsession was so deep, they swore to annihilate the enemy, Mu Chen said, his expression grave. Mu Chen nodded seriously. He squinted at the darkness, suspecting that by now, powerful beings from the extraterritorial evil clan had likely begun to gather there. As they spoke, the main force had already arrived at the edge of the abyss, and amidst the glowing light, they gradually descended. Just as they landed, they immediately felt an ancient voice, as if it pierced through time and space, resounding in their minds. "Helpers from the great thousand worlds, you have finally arrived." Mu Chen and the others exchanged glances. The ancient voice was likely the residual will of one of the four ancestors. "Senior, what should we do?" Qin Bubi asked, clasping his fists. "The souls of the four heavenly demon emperors were scattered and sealed by the four of us back in the day, intending to let time erode them. However, recently, we sensed that we could no longer hold them down. They have begun calling upon some from the extraterritorial evil clan, attempting to break the seal and release the residual souls. If they succeed, they will establish a connection with the extraterritorial evil clan, and the sacred abyss continent will be dragged into the demon domain, becoming a springboard for their invasion of our great thousand worlds." At this, everyone present felt a shock in their hearts, their faces changing dramatically. If that was the case, would they also be dragged into the demon domain? Therefore, we need you to act and stop those from the extraterritorial evil clan from destroying the four sacred pagodas. When these words fell, Mu Chen and the others looked up in response and saw, at the junction of light and darkness, a massive tower, sharply divided in black and white, standing tall. The tower had only 4 floors, yet it gave off an unshakable feeling. Each floor of the tower suppresses one of the heavenly demon emperor's residual souls. If one is released, it means the residual will of one of the 4 ancestors will be wiped out. Once 3 of the heavenly demon emperor's souls are released, the 4 sacred pagodas will crumble, and the residual souls of the heavenly demon emperors will break free. The ancient voice became heavier at this point. As long as you can protect 2 floors of the 4 sacred pagodas, the pagodas will remain intact until they are completely eradicated. So, the success or failure of this matter depends entirely on you. Hearing this, the many powerful figures present all wore serious expressions, clearly not expecting the situation to be this grim. It was now a matter of life and death. Whoever can protect the seal, we will give them the inheritance of the floor they protect. At this, the eyes of the powerful figures gleamed with fierce light, and there was a strong hint of desire in their gazes. Based on what was said, the final victor would receive the inheritance left by a saint-grade heavenly supreme. Mu Chen took a deep breath, his eyes burning with intense passion. He nodded at the others and spoke softly. "Get ready to take action." In order to obtain the Eightfold Pagoda, he feared nothing, whether it was facing Xin Luo, Moxin, or the extraterritorial evil clan. Wealth moves the heart, and supreme divine abilities could even drive one to risk their life.